So the main reasons I did the video, so I sell this stuff on Marketplace occasionally, and obviously there's a ton of people scamming out there. Fortunately, more people than we'd ever like to see. You can't trust anybody anymore. So here's a video showing how I refine it. Second, if anyone wants to do this, it's an easy way to make some extra money every month. Gold's just fantastic, by the way. Once you hold an ounce of gold in your hand, it's kind of addictive. Third, who doesn't want a piece of the Google money and a little bit of Amazon money? So I'm going to put links in the bottom of the video. And if you do choose to give it a try, if you click those links, I don't even know what I would get from Amazon, but I appreciate it. And that's about it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a mess. My little setup, I should have cleaned it up for like a final shot, but it doesn't take much. The time involved is really more patience, just sitting inside or doing whatever, coming back to it, spending 10 minutes on it. It's not that hard to do. And you can make a good amount of money doing it. So, good luck to y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, as lithic metals would say, welcome to the lab. So, Monday evening pickup. 4 necklaces. Oh, I'm sorry, I think three necklaces, and then a little chunk of a broken 14 karat bracelet. And then also a 10 karat, whatchamacallit, pendant. So I'm gonna take these and I'll get them on a scale here. Weigh it up, figure out how much silver we need to mix with it. Yeah, my lab is filthy, but hey, it works. Get on the scale, figure out how much silver we need to mix with it, melt it up, mix it, put it in the shot, and we'll get it into a nitric acid boil and start getting all the base metals out. All right, I did zero this out with the lid. We are at basically 21 dead on, and we need to get down to 6 carats. Oops. So I am adding, oh, I didn't figure that. Just over 7 grams of silver to it. And that should get us down to roughly 6 carats, maybe just a little bit higher. I might put a pinch more silver in there. But you need to get down to 6 carat or lower. You're really shooting for 6 carat for the best results. If you get too low, and you're gonna end up with a bunch of dust instead of chunks. But I'll melt this, mix it in a shot, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's our imported gold. And to do that, you simply mix it up. I didn't use that one, I used that one. Just use any old crucible, don't use your good ones. Just heat it up with a torch. I found this actually worked really well. It's Blue Fire. They make Blue Fire gas on Amazon. It's supposed to be hotter than MAP Pro, which is way hotter than propane. Propane's probably not going to cut it. I do have an oxyacetylene set up. Don't 100% need it, but it does make life a lot easier sometimes, a lot faster. You just melt it up, and I always use this little drinking dispenser thing I bought from Walmart for a couple bucks. No big deal. I'm gonna go over buying real quick. So when you're buying, I mean, that's the hardest part, just finding gold. But first of all, treat people fair. Be honest with them. Tell them, or show them, have them look it up themselves, what the current price of gold per gram is, or current value of a gram of gold. I usually pay 80% if it's close, within 20 minutes. If it's, say, an hour and a half away, I might try to tell them I'll pay a 75% if I'm driving to you, 80% if you bring it to me. Because you just have to decide what your time and miles on your car and everything else is worth. And I carry this ammo can around. I have a pocket pinger. If you know what that is, you know what it is. It's for testing coins, silver coins. Yeah, I think you can use it for gold coins too. Never had that opportunity. I'll just leave it stuck there. It's actually a small fishing magnet, but just a very powerful magnet. A couple small files, which you use to, get a good cut into the gold, make sure it's not filled or plated. And then I carry around an acid kit. So I actually have silver, platinum, 10, 14, silver, platinum, 10, 14, 18, 22, and then this white one right here is just straight nitric acid. And that's usually what I use. If it's marked jewelry, I just test it with nitric to make sure it's not fake. If it's plated or anything but gold, it's gonna react immediately, violently. You'll see it. But that's about it. I guess just make sure you treat people fairly, because you'll find, you're paying way more than a pawn shop, and all of a sudden they might have friends or family that have jewelry for sale, and maybe throw them a little finder's fee or something if they send a few referrals your way. Never a bad way to do business. You want them to trust you, treat them fairly. So if something else pops up that they want to sell, or they know someone that has something to sell, it's coming your way first probably. But that's all I got to say about that. I'm gonna throw this with some water on some heat. I do have, this is my fancy purchase. It's a magnetic, it's so dirty. It's a heated magnetic stir plate. So I don't actually need the stir factor in this situation. But right now, basically I'm just gonna get this hot, put a lot of nitric, probably like 60 milliliters of nitric acid in here. Not 60, I'm sorry, 30. In this process, I guess I'm not really worried about wasting any nitric. I'm just trying to get all the base metals out as fast as possible. And the final steps, you're gonna try to use as little nitric as possible so that it's all used up when you go to precipitate your gold. But I will get started on this and show you kind of a little bit more throughout the process. You also need one of these, right? He will keep you busy. There you can see it reacting pretty severely. And green is good, green is silver. There wasn't any rose gold, so I'm sure there's copper in here, but not a lot of copper. They use copper specifically to create rose colored gold. Silver gives you more of that bright yellow. So, irregardless, whatever the base metals are that come out of it, all the waste ends up in this pot where it cements out using just silver from plumbing. Guys, so I had extra copper just laying around, and then whenever I decided to, harvest, I guess, whatever you call it, what I do have in here, I do pour it into a second one, just in case I've missed anything. And as you can see at the bottom here, there was quite a bit missed that didn't get collected in the first one. So in this one, even though it's cemented silver, I'll still add some hydrochloric acid, which that can turn your, I can't remember, silver chloride, I believe it converts into. Converts silver nitrate into silver chloride, which is kind of like a foamy white, almost like a thick cream. But I make sure you get everything out of it. Try not to dispose of anything, especially with silver being nearly $50 right now. That'll date this video. Might be back to 30 in a year or up to 100, who knows. So anyhow, I just realized I need some more distilled water, so I'm running to the grocery store. All right, ignore my disheveled mess here. I was gonna go through materials real quick for supplies, things you might need to buy. This is literally what I started with. So I saw on my For You page, it was a guy called Sree Tips, S-R-E-E Tips. So all of a sudden I started binge watching his videos, commented on a few things, asked some questions. Found out the guy's he grew up in the same town I did, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So a flask like that. I was running filters through little funnels like that. dissolving like 2 grams of gold at a time in this. I mean, that's literally where I started at, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. And now I'm up to 500 milliliter flasks. I do have a couple thousands, but you know, it's kind of overkill for the amount of gold I refine. That's a 500 milliliter. I would suggest if you're gonna buy a kit, I'd buy, I think there's one, it's like a 5-piece set that goes, maybe buy 2 of them, but it goes from like 50 to 500. So you have some more beakers like this. 100, there's a 250 around here, but anyhow, and then 500 milliliter flask. If you're gonna buy one, go ahead and get one with the vacuum attachment on it. Vacuum pump. I have 2 of them. Sometimes, you know, I'll have karat gold going as well as gold filled going at the same time. So I have 2 of these. They're $30 on Amazon. Nest Echo vacuum pump. Nothing big, nothing expensive. You don't need these sight glasses, they're called. Just what's on top of that. You can just use a plate, honestly, or a bowl or something to cover it, but you do need to cover it. 3 tips uses, I think I even have a jar here somewhere. Uses Stump Out by Bonide is the company, and it has this exact same, this is the active chemical in it, but it's $8 for 1 pound. You can buy 10 pounds for $38 of this lab grade off Amazon, so that's the way I do it. It's a little bit cheaper. My fancy purchase, the magnetic heat hot plate, pack of stir bars. That was probably $30, $10. And some heavy duty nitrile gloves, box, just your regular nitrile gloves. Some sprayers like this. It's a spray bottle, like a Windex bottle, anything like that will work. I'm currently using these. I actually just ordered one that's 20 millimeters bigger. So I'm upgrading a little bit, but I have a couple of these. Trying to think what else. Nitric acid. Shop BVV. Bravo Victor Victor.com. That is the cheapest place I found to get it. Delivers right to your door. I think it's about $30 a quart, or if you buy 4 at a time, it's around 90. Let's see what else. The other major chemical, muriatic. It's the same thing. It's hydrochloric acid. Same acid. Call it either one. Any hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Ace Hardware. I get it at Tyson's locally. Not hard to find. Pipettes? I don't know how you say it. But some of those, very handy. I don't really use this because I know when I have gold in solution or not, but 3 Tips uses it all the time. Stannous chloride. So what you do is you dip a piece of filter paper in a solution once you're actually dissolving the gold. Right now we're just dissolving the metals out of the gold. And what's going to be left behind is only gold. But once you're dissolving it, use this to test if you have gold in solution. Sulfuric acid. And you put just a drop or 2 in when you're dissolving the gold, when the gold is dissolved, and that will precipitate out any lead. If you don't use too much nitric acid when you're dissolving the gold, you won't need this. But if you're like me, you can get a little overzealous sometimes. Sulfamic acid, you can get that at same thing, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, any major hardware store. That's kind of all I can think of right now. If you're gonna get into silver, I use the sugar and lye method. So strain cleaner, 100% lye. I do have some things I should use, like these the beaker pliers. I just always grab it with those gloves on in my hands, and then I end up leaving a little bit of rubber on the beakers. So I have a little burning station, crucibles. I went through a lot early, like damaging them, getting them dirty, etc. I've learned since then, and I'm kind of rotating. You know, I only use a couple now when I have pure gold to melt, and I'll just grab any filthy one when I'm mixing stuff up that's going to be refined. But you definitely want nice clean ones when you're doing your final melts. Oh, I have a couple of these. Everything's dirty. Just carbon molds for your pours. And then carbon stirring rod. You definitely do need this, because when you're mixing that gold and silver for the process I just started here, you actually do need to stir it and create a completely new metal. You can't just melt them together and expect it all to be even. Borax helps get impurities out. You need it to glaze your crucibles or your melting dishes. You don't need a giant 4-inch air filter. It's just sitting there. Filter papers, and this is specifically the ones I use and have been using. They're medium flow. See, I bought a very large Buchner funnel. I was trying something new with silver, and I didn't really like the results, so it's probably gonna sit there forever. Some of these things you don't really need to get started. I mean, if you're just gonna try it once and see if it's something you're gonna stick to, get the little cheap kit, you know, the little Tykes starter kit. It worked, got me hooked. So you can use the money you make off of that and upgrade slowly. Oh, one more important thing. Vent fan, pull your fumes out. I'm in a garage with windows open and the fan going, and I am going to move this November in Iowa, so here shortly I'm going to be moving to my basements, where I will have a formal structure, enclosed structure, with that vent fan going directly to the window. So other than that, I mean, you don't even need the stirring hot plate. I mean, I think that's $12 at Walmart. So cheap. Don't buy anything fancy, because you spill acid on it, you're going to ruin it. So buy the cheap stuff. That's about it. Buying, I'd say, is your biggest struggle. Just finding it. I mean, you're paying people fair. You're paying them way more than a pawn shop's going to pay them. And then finding a place to sell it. And it's taken me 8 months, but I have 2 buyers now that will buy it at melt. So I generally make 20%, which I don't know about you, but to me, you know, make an extra $300, $400, $500, $600 a month, which certainly helps out right now. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, obviously, I think I went through this, but the scale and the little buyer's kit. That's all I can think of right now. If anything else pops up, I'll add it in. All right, so our first nitric boil. Whoops. First nitric boil is done. I am simply going to pour this off into my silver jar. That was tap water. If you see that reaction, there's chlorine in tap water. I forgot about that. I'm a dummy. All right. Don't use tap water. At least if you're trying to save your silver like I am. Okay, still got gold in there. Gonna do another boil. What we're looking for, you can see a lot of it's done. All right. Yeah, we're looking just for, it's gonna be kind of a grainy brown chunks, but we'll get there. Let me do another boil. All right. Still on our second boil, I just added some nitric into that magnetic stir bar in there. So, see, it's just kind of starting to get up the temperature. Oh, by the way, all this, it looks like dirt. It's actually, it's actually gold flake, or like gold mud. I think cleaning the inside of this beaker with an abrasive sponge created really fine scratches in it, which gold sticks to apparently. Yeah, you can see it's getting warmer here. It's starting to produce obnoxious fumes. So, I'll let this go for 20-30 minutes, come back and check it. Okay. Turn this down. Alright, so this quit producing fumes. I added nitric to it several times. I'm gonna do it again. So you notice this time we don't have the clear white. Maybe a little bit popping up. That's probably residual water. I'm talking about reaction in here. You add chloride to that, you'll get an instant reaction. Let's see what we got. Might not have gotten it mixed quite enough. You see how it's much more brown now. There's a little bit of fumes coming out of that thing. So, a little more distilled water. Add about 20 milliliters of nitric. On there. Turn up the heat a little bit. Let's see, get this bar to spin. There we go. Alright, we'll come back and check on it. It's getting kind of late. Gotta work tomorrow, so I'll give this about 30 minutes and cut out for the night. Alright, this has been going for a while, and there's definitely a lot of active nitric in here, not producing fumes. So I think we've gotten everything out of it we're going to. I will save this nitric and use it in the next batch. And give me just a minute. I'm going to add, here we go. No, it's just reflective actually. You can see there's even a hole in the middle of it. So maybe we do have all the silver and base metals out of here. So this would be pretty close to pure gold already. But next I'm going to add distilled water, 30 milliliters of hydrochloric acid, and I'm expecting around 9 grams. So I'm going to put 8 milliliters of nitric acid in there, which probably won't dissolve quite all of it, but then I can just add a little bit more at a time until it's all dissolved, so I don't end up having too much in there, which creates problems when you go to try to precipitate it out. So I will get that started. Okay, so there's our what they call Aqua regia, which is when you mix nitric with hydrochloric acid. And I'll let this run for a little bit. Again, it's about bedtime, but I'll let it run for a little bit. Probably 10 minutes will already have a pretty nice gold color to it. Alright, so we're just starting to get that gold color. But I just turned down the heat and I'm going to bed. There's a chance this might dry out on me overnight. And if it does, I'll just show you it's no big deal. The only thing you want to make sure not to do is put cold water or whatever room temp water into a very hot, dry glass beaker. Ask me how I know. All right, so we'll start again tomorrow. All right, so here we are the next morning, and looks like everything's dissolved. Watch this. You can clearly see the stir bar in there. I didn't have it running for a while. That's all of our contaminants. They settle out, but those will get filtered out. So I'm gonna double check, make sure everything gets dissolved in here. And then I will start filtering. Okay, so we don't have the ideal color. We don't have that nice, pretty golden color, but I have a feeling after a few filters, or runs through a filter, we'll get it. So I'm gonna start that process. I'll set this up on a time lapse. This is by far the most time consuming portion of refining gold. So I'll get to it. I could not see this when I picked it up and looked underneath if there were any chunks. I'll show you this. It's a fair amount of gold still in there, undissolved. So I'm gonna get that dissolved and then I'll resume filtering here. All right. Got that dissolved, didn't take very long. It was actually just, looked like chunks, but it was very powdery. I can crush it just by touching it. So it didn't take long to dissolve at all. And that's the color that we're really looking for right there. So I will get this added to the filter. All right, that's good enough for now. Because what I'm gonna do is precipitate this out into powder. You can see it. You wanna make sure also when you're filtering this, you add water after everything's sucked through until it is running clear. You can see it's running clear now. So take a look at the filters really quick. The first one, I don't normally do this. Here's our first filter. You can see it's really well plugged up. But I heard a whistling noise coming from it, which indicates it was leaking somehow. Maybe a hole had developed or hadn't sealed quite right. So I switched and put a new filter in a separate funnel. Quite a bit of crud in there still too. At this point, I'll just set this down. I'm gonna add sodium metabisulfite, however the heck you say that. Do some distilled water, pour our gold solution in there. Set this up so that's my hand covering the camera, don't worry about that. This is always kind of a fun, cool reaction to do. All right. Oh. I always try to use a little bit more of this than I know that I need. Is it wasteful a little bit? Sure. But I'd rather have too much than not enough. This will clear up. Oh, that goes really quick. You can add this directly to that solution. So say I were to pour that solution into the beaker and then just scoop this directly in. I just feel like I have better results doing it this way. Couple chunks in here. If you use too much of the sodium, it's called sodium M, it's not a problem. It's all coming out. It's all getting dissolved, rinsed out. So there we go. There we go. Boom. Hopefully that's showing up well. Nice brown color. Oh yeah. this is another time of patience. We just got to let it set a couple hours, come back out. All our gold will have settled to the bottom. This is where, if you watch Three Tips, he will use this stannous chloride. I don't. I just give it plenty. I already know there's gold in there, so I just give it plenty of time to settle out. If you leave it overnight, it'll actually be completely clear with just your gold powder at the bottom. So I'll come back though. I'm gotta get back to work. I'm working from home today, so come back, check on it. Then what we're gonna do is get away from that. I would freak out, dog. Once this becomes a precipitated powder, redissolve it with that Aqua regia a second time, refilter it, and then we can melt it. And that, I'm always certain at that point we're at 99% plus purity. All right. Okay, here we are, just a couple hours later, and kind of as I described, basically clear. Sorry, I accidentally hit the pause. I'm looking for another beaker to pour this into. Oh, this will work. Whatever you pour off, you want to let it settle for a couple days, because it's going to be, you know, tiny amount, but there might be a little bit of gold still left in here that hasn't settled out yet. And that can happen even if you let it set for a day. You come back 2 days later, and magically there's some dust at the bottom. So not really worried about dumping out gold because it's very heavy and dense. Doesn't look like much, but let me get it in a smaller beaker. We're going to clean this up as though we're going to melt it, and then redissolve it before we would melt it. So let's get started on that. All right, so here's our gold mud in a 100 milliliter beaker. Again, you don't need to go out and go big, spend all the money. Like Three Tips and Lithic Metals, you know, they have some really nice, large, high quality equipment, but you don't need it. You know, if you're doing the kind of volume, and especially lithic metals, the way he's doing it, he could absolutely justify spending that kind of money. But at this point, it actually already has a nice light color to it. I'm kind of surprised. You can't tell from what I poured off. I don't know if you can tell it in the video or not. It has a slight hint of green, which means there was a little bit of silver left in here. But I'm gonna boil it in hydrochloric acid and then distilled water, and then I will dissolve it again. So I'm gonna get started on that now. Okay, so it's all cleaned up now, and I'm redissolving it. And I'll be putting this melt dish. It's not dirty. You can actually see some gold still in there. The purple and pinkish hues are actually the molecular color of gold. So that's why there's some coloring to it. There's a little tiny chunk right there. But I only use this crucible for gold after it's been refined twice. So this won't cause any contamination to it. All right, just a quick little update. There we have the color that we're really looking for. You can see that gold powder at the bottom dissolving. So I just added a little more nitric to it, and I'll keep adding small amounts of nitric, because again, you don't want to add too much nitric in this step. So just enough to dissolve the gold. But you can tell again by the color of it now, we filtered out a lot of the contaminants. Hopefully 99% of the contaminants are at least gone by now, and we're shooting for more. Okay, so I think we got everything dissolved in here. Looks like like it to me. All right, so I am going to filter this off. My pump. Set this down somehow. All right, here we go. Actually, looks like it got cloudier when I went through the filter. You can tell this is caching some stuff because it's slowing down a little bit each time I filter it. So you can see it's significantly slowed down now. There we go. That's a lot quieter. So obviously you can tell I'm just running it through the same filter over. Oh, I didn't realize this was to block everything. Over and over and over. As the filter gets more plugged up, it just basically becomes a finer filter. I'll do this one more time. I think we're good now, but it's not going to cause any harm. Filtering it one more time. We've gotten significantly slower from that first pass. All I'm doing here is just rinsing anything remaining, any gold remaining in that filter. Again, what you want to see is just clear coming out of here. Just a little bit of color. There we go. I would say that's some very clean, clear gold. Everything you're seeing is through the gold, and the filth, or I guess the paper towel wrinkled up, or the chemical stains to the table. Here's the fun part. I always love that reaction. You know, I think my math put me right around 9 grams. You might be a little bit over, a little bit under. Of course, you don't figure in springs, any kind of steel that might be in there, like in the latches. So we have 4 necklaces total. So you lose a little bit there. If it says 10 karat or 14 karat, it's rarely ever actually 10 karat. It's usually like 9.8 or 9.5. They do make like 10 kp, which means 10 karat plum, which means that it is plum 10 karat gold. But I've only seen that a couple times. So at this point, it's just a matter of waiting, which is good because I have to run to another city and pick something up for the girlfriend. So. All right, there is our nice clean gold at the bottom. Those are all just air bubbles. You a hint on where I live. So I just drove to Davenport. Steal of a deal. $3,000 refrigerator with a couple of dings in it. Picked it up for the girlfriend for $640. It's that new satin black stainless look. So fancy. Thought about just bringing it back to my house and giving her my fridge. Oh, it's a brand new beaker I got also with this cool handle on it. So we'll see how it works when it's hot. Try to get the best lighting. There we go. It looks like already very nice clean gold. But I'm gonna put it in a small beaker, clean it up a little bit more. Then I'll get to melt it here before bed. It's only about 9 o'clock, so I got time. With crappy card is Revit. All right, so oh Marshall, I'm gonna murder you. Sorry, I boiled it once in distilled water, and now it's boiling in just straight hydrochloric acid. And you definitely want to boil it in distilled water first, get all the nitric out of there. Otherwise, you're gonna end up, if you go to boil it with hydrochloric or muriatic acid, you're gonna end up accidentally dissolving it again. But right now you can see it's actually even looks darker on the camera, but it's a nice light brown color, which is what you want. And Marshall really wants me to throw a ball. I was gonna show a quick example. I don't know if you can see that hole in the glove, but this nitric is not, Marshall, get back. I don't want to hurt you, buddy. I'll do it as fast. That is going to melt a hole in that leather glove. And if you get it on your skin or your nails, let's see, you can see my ring finger there. So that was just from testing some jewelry. It wasn't even straight nitric acid. But if you get it on your skin, the only way it's coming off is when your skin peels. Get it on your nails, it's gonna stay stained until they grow out. So you do want to be very careful with the nitric acid. This is finishing up. I'm gonna pour it off, rinse it in distilled water twice, at least. And I did glaze a new dish, even though that one's clean. New dish, and then I have this mold, which I just kind of randomly bought, but I have figured out this little tiny, that's my pinky finger. That's roughly 10 grams of gold. So that's what I'm gonna shoot for when I do this melt here. All right, might have a free Weimaraner if anybody wants one. Ball. Okay, here's our gold ready to melt. And then I was gonna show this. Oh, just in case I forget to mention it, I'm gonna melt this on top of the mold. And I'm gonna try to get a good angle so you can see me melt and pour. But the mold has to be very hot when you pour. If you try to pour it in like a warm mold even, it has to be hot. If you try to pour it in there cold or warm, it will literally splatter everywhere. And I've done it before, once. So don't make that mistake. I made it for you. You don't need to do it. I did find, I remembered that I had this. Just a small chunk that's already been refined a couple times. So I'm going to add it to the melt. 3.1 grams. And then this is a pour that I've already done previously. I already know it's 99.2. I'm just going to leave it, at least for now. Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'm going to throw this in with the other gold, and we'll see what we can get. want to show you what I'm fighting with here. I screwed up originally. I should have had this on top of another dish. I can't really tell what the camera's seeing, but hopefully you can see the gold. You need it to be insulated on the bottom. So I'm gonna replace this. Adjust it. See, I'll make mistakes so you don't have to. Okay. Sorry for the long burn. You can fast forward through it, obviously. It is a pretty piece of gold. style. Alright. I'll flip the camera around and get a better view. I think that's the prettiest one I've done yet. Alright, so there's our final little pour. I ended up going with that really small circular pour because I had the extra 3 grams. I knew it wasn't going to fit any other one. Alright. 12. Alright, so we had 3.1, ended up with 8.9. So kind of right on spot. So, perfect. And that little beauty. Almost an ounce. I think right now, oh gosh, I think gold still, it's right around 4,000. It kind of keeps teetering up and down. It's November 4th, 2025. But yeah, there you go. I'll make all the mistakes and tell you how I've made them in the past too. You don't have to make them. Now I'll get this scanned, contact the guy that buys from me on a regular basis, let him know I have some for sale. Not all of it, just the one I just did.